I was walking quickly to get to Birdman, but right behind Birdman was Jim Jones. I'm walking mad quickly, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I think the way Jim seen it was like I'm walking up on him. I swear. Birdman, then I see Jim Jones. And I'm like, oh shit, Jim, what up? Now, Jim, what up back at me is a different type of what up. He's like, nigga, what up? And I'm like, whoa. I'm gonna give Jim his credit. Jim was the oldest YN in the building, but he was on YN timing. I'm gonna keep it a beat. I go over to say, yo, Jim, we gotta get up and we gotta go do the interview. That's what I'm like, we gotta go do the interview. I don't know if it's because Young Boy was on stage. Jim Jones turned to a YN on me. Jim Jones was like, yo, hold on, let me holler at you, man. Let me holler at you. Jim is like, yo, listen, man. I gotta talk to you. I'm like, all right, what up, what's good? He kept asking questions like, yo, do y'all think the shit y'all do online is cool? So I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm kind of confused, honestly. I'm legit confused. I didn't get too much info out of him, but he mentioned 6ix9ine. He said, whatever 6ix9ine. Then he's like, yo, y'all gotta know, it ain't safe when niggas is playing with me like that. And I'm thinking about, I'm like, what the fuck do I? So I kept trying to ask him, I said, what me and 6ix9ine gotta do with you? Or what I gotta do with if you and 6ix9ine got something? Rappers are the best that if they can't find the person they don't like, someone else inherits. So it's like Dave Free seeing me and Dave Free saying, yo, well, I'll never see Drake ever in life. So let me tell you why I'm mad at Drake. Okay, cool. Think I'm like, yo, is he mad at, like, how is he mad at 6ix9ine and coming to me? Y'all two were 9 Trey Bloods. I was never a 9 Trey Blood and I don't want to be one.
DJ Akademiks has been acting as though he is attempting to exact revenge ever since Jim Jones approached him, even if you refuse to acknowledge it. Everyone was taken aback when A repeatedly referred to Jim as a bozo on his most recent streams, even making fun of him as an elderly 18-year-old from New York. It's evident that A is still upset about being examined during the NBA YoungBoy event, particularly considering that the others he arrived with merely stood by and observed when things became hot. From the outside, it appeared like nothing would stop Jim from pursuing his goals that evening in Brooklyn. People on the internet were making jokes, saying, "Champ, you were one bad move away from having multiple Timberlands on your face." To be honest, A seems ashamed that none of his people had come forward. Because of this is currently the main question. Given that they both reside in Jersey, is it even acceptable for Axe to speak carelessly about Jim? Even though Jim had already touched Axe at that same YoungBoy performance a month prior, Axe has been acting online like he wants smoke for some reason. Why does Axe continue to poke fun at someone who has already confronted him face to face? I think it's clear that Hack never moved past that incident. He still feels the weight of it. When he discusses it, you can hear it. He's making an effort to laugh it off, but the energy startled him. "If I wanted it to go left, it would have gone left," Jim told him plainly. Since then, Axe has continued to bring that up. He talked about it on his stream and then on Vlad TV, but he dozed on the stream and appeared perplexed, as if he couldn't even recall how this whole mess began. However, he still finds it annoying because he remembers every moment. He's labeling Jimmy a grown man trapped in a second childhood because he wants to exact some sort of retribution, so he's diving into any angle that makes him sound bold, mimicking the supporters who harassed Jim as he attempted to draw comparisons between his catalog and Nas. People thought he was going too far and disrespecting Nas's legacy. Then an old wound was reopened by Max B returning home. Everyone is aware that Max and Jimmy had disagreements regarding the Bird Gang deal. The whole thing turned into a spectacle when Max went crazy and claimed to have been with Jim's girlfriend, Chrissy. When Axe notices that everything is bubbling once more, he tries to position himself in the center as if it were his moment. Back then, Max was going insane, claiming that he had slept with Chrissy and that she had touched it in Miami in 2008. He even went so far as to threaten Jimmy's little son. That turned everything upside down. The beef burst when he dropped the pie. Jimmy and Max were at odds until Max put an end to it while he was incarcerated. However, the cultural friction persists to this day. Everyone seems to be quick to support Jim's opponent these days, with the exception of A. And that's the fundamental issue with him. Akademiks continues to strive for victory, but his own actions always make him appear worse. You can't expect people to ride for you after talking to a 15-year-old as he did on stream. People were staring at him sideways at that moment. Many individuals have already been irritated by him, and each fresh outburst only makes the situation worse. People would still favor Jim, even if he suddenly wanted to identify himself with him, because A had destroyed too many bridges. People pick their sides carefully when it comes to Act 6ix9ine and Whack 100, and most people stay away from AC. AK is getting more aggressive now, labeling Jimmy a rat and using other derogatory terms as if he's attempting to gain online points. However, the actual query is straightforward. When he encountered Jim in person, where was all that energy? He didn't say any of those things, making sure he didn't leave the arena looking like Ja Rule. Following that Brandy gig in Brooklyn, he stood there composedly and respectfully. I might have suffered the same fate if that young boy incident had gone even slightly wrong. He is also aware of Jim's past in that field. So why is Axe screaming right now? Easy, as a result of that liquid bravery, the Hennessy privilege, he boldly entered the stream, calling Jimmy old, telling him to grow up, and asserting that a man over 50 shouldn't be acting that way. Even though he didn't have any of that smoke in person, he's out here lecturing Jimmy. He's back at home now, secure behind his microphone, yelling into it as if he were the tough guy.
New York City gentlemen in their 40s and 50s having, I won't even call it a midlife crisis, but they're literally having like this like almost stunted development. All the 50-year-old men who were gangsters and cool dudes back in the day seem to have the most childish ideals. They're all dressing like they're YNs, acting as if they are children, and they're still playing the same childish games as if they were 14 and 15. Now, Jim Jones, who we all know, he is what we call a senior citizen. We just have to be honest. Jim Jones is someone living out a fifth childhood, and it's okay. I don't necessarily mind the drip. I just would hope he would use some Beijing, because I think the gray hair peppered around the tight jeans and muscle shirts throws me off. That's it. Other than that, I like Jim Jones not only for his music. I like the fact that Jim Jones is showing that no matter how old you are, he's always fit in shape. And even though he might need to work out the legs, he's in the gym all the time, obviously, right? And I actually do like that, right? Now, one person I thought wouldn't be added to this list is Fabulous. Now, Fabulous is one of those guys, you know, I've always said I've listened to Fabulous music for over 10 years, and I don't know one thing about this. He got all the punchlines, for everything. But I've never thought his music was a great reflection of giving me an insight into his world, and maybe I've just listened differently than other people. But Fabulous is also one of those people that when I see him on Instagram, I kind of be like, yo, is he trying to dress like a YN too? I can't tell. Now, I like Fabulous. You know what I mean? Fabulous is always like, at a point in New York City history, he was like, to me, the coolest guy. He was always seen as like the coolest guy from New York, right? However, I just want to, let me see, how old is Fabulous? Fabulous is 48 years old. These days when I'm seeing Fabulous, by the way, there's nothing wrong with trying to dress well, but at certain points, I'm like, is Fab serious? Like, I can't really tell. And I don't want
Yes, some supporters are giggling at Ox's quips, and those who already dislike Jimmy are nodding along. But even they find it awkward when O is the one making the jokes. That's the whole issue with Ox. Every time he tries to win, it merely makes him appear to be losing more. He's attempting to fit in with the anti-Jim group. Indeed, many people have been against Jim for a long time. Some people stopped taking Jim seriously after the Rucker fiasco and the entire True Life incident. When the RICO case surfaced and the wiretap involving Mel Matrix went viral, things became more complicated. People made snap judgments and accused Jim of things that the call didn't even support. Because they were unaware of the context, the internet ran with it. The story became uglier when 6ix9ine appeared and attempted to call Jim a rat. Jim was therefore already irritated by the rumors that were going around. He checked him as soon as he saw him because of this. Jim was sick of seeing his name called out, and O continued to provide platforms for those who spoke carelessly. A is now surprised that Jim retaliated. However, A is the one raising these voices, as if he had no idea where this was going. When someone eventually retaliates, O pretends to have no idea. However, that isn't how it operates. You cannot host the pandemonium while pretending to be innocent. He now wishes to treat Jimmy disrespectfully. Even though they were only a few inches apart, he wasn't saying any of this. O was attempting to defuse the situation so he could leave the Barclays Center without any issues when Jim approached him. He didn't want to leave the building damaged, so he remained polite. That's the reality. But now that he has Wi-Fi at home, he's calling Jim a bozo, calling him washed, and acting as though he's always been that daring. Why didn't you say it there, champ, if that's how he truly felt? In person, he didn't feel secure enough to speak in such a manner. He is venting online because of this. The absurd thing is that they both reside in New Jersey. Jim has a place in Jersey. O has a place in Jersey. They are not on different coasts and kilometers apart. They might run into each other again at any time. O is aware of this. Because of this, he continues to act as though his actions are protective. However, individuals are able to see right through that. Whether you acknowledge it or not, you contribute to the problem if you continue to share untidy videos, make snarky remarks, and act disrespectfully. Jimmy hails from a society that values your words. O hails from a world where contentment is the norm. The actual conflict is that Jimmy is personally offended by disrespect. O views it as amusement. However, not everyone finds these circumstances amusing. A is now perplexed as to why Jimmy continues to double back on him. However, what did he anticipate? Jimmy has been called old, washed, lame, and many more derogatory terms by him. He's now acting as though he doesn't understand why Jimmy is upset. This isn't some fictitious Instagram feud, because they both reside in New Jersey. They might unexpectedly run into one another. He must therefore decide if he can handle all of this discourse or whether he will give up the moment Jimmy stands up once more. If there's one thing about Jim, it's that he avoids online debates. Every time he pushes go live, O forgets that he is managing things in real life. After Meek Mill invites him to the Meek and Friends Festival in Philadelphia, things can become pretty bad for O. Many people already don't connect with him, so if I had actually shown up, things might have quickly gone south. It seems as though A is entering an area he doesn't completely understand. He may not be aware of the extent of his risk. Yes, he gets along well with some artists who have connections, but A isn't from that world, and he continues to promote stories that go against the values of some people. Someone will ultimately react when you promote stories that damage people's reputations or negatively impact their standing in real life, and it won't be endearing. However, what do you suppose will happen to O next? Is he putting himself in a position from which he cannot escape? Is he going too far? This is going out of control, so please share your thoughts in the comments. Before you go, hit the like button, share this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to Dipset. Additionally, click the hype this video button if you want to make it go viral. Although it's free for you, it means a lot to us. I'm grateful.